Hey, RetconRaider here. Before we get started today, I just thought I'd take a quick moment to once again thank Sir Skelibate, who you probably know better as Atlas, one of our resident psychics. It's thanks to his support, and the support of people like him, that I can keep making these gameplay videos, despite the issues I'm having with YouTube's ongoing adpocalypse. So thanks, Atlas. Once again, this episode is dedicated to you. As always, I'll at least try not to get you killed. We had blundered our way right into another one of the Blightwalker's traps, and it had cost us some of our ground contacts in Asia. But at least it wasn't all bad. Our past experience with the hunter had shown that the bait he used for his traps was usually real, so I had to assume that the Advent supply convoy was still on its way. It was going to take Tygan a few more days to finish studying the remains of the Gatekeeper anyway, so I had the Avenger hold position for the time being. Soon enough, Tygan had contacted me with his findings, though the report was rather sparse. He hadn't learned much about what the creature was or how it was supposed to work, so he had focused on studying the energy that it produced. Fortunately, it seemed like that had garnered some better results, and the report concluded with some updated designs for the Psi-Amps that our psychic soldiers used on the battlefield. I had the new design sent over to the proving ground so someone could start working on a field prototype, but I stayed in the lab long enough to make absolutely certain that Tygan was finally beginning work on the Advent Psi-Gate. I think he realized pretty quickly that I was essentially just babysitting him, so I ordered Lily to take my place. Hopefully she could keep him on task without my direct supervision. It's just as well, I suppose, because there were other things that required my attention. I had received multiple reports from the covert ops teams while I was down in the lab. They had already recovered some tech from both the Templars and the Skirmishers, and the engineers were hard at work using it to upgrade our armory. Aside from the new tech, word had gotten out that we had begun taking advantage of the Reaper's training program, and now Betos was eager to have us try out the Skirmisher training program as well. It seemed like a fair request, and they were promising some pretty impressive results, so I sent Colonel Winter out to give it a shot. Before much longer, our scans finally came back with the results we had been waiting for. Advent's supply train was on its way. Our ground operatives in New Chile launched the initial strike, derailing the train, but we were going to need to send in a dedicated strike team to clear out the surviving security escort. According to the Grey Shirts, most of the Advent peacekeepers had been killed during the crash, so I put Atlas in charge of the operation and asked him to fill out the team with some of our less experienced operatives. He quickly went through our roster and selected Joey, Blackbane, Potato, and Steel Badger. He also requested the Hunter-Killer, which was a bit surprising. I thought about turning down the request, but the robot had seemed more subdued lately, so I decided it couldn't hurt to send it along. Apparently, the Advent train had been transporting heavy explosives, so our team was going to have to tread lightly. They wouldn't be able to rely on grenades and rockets as much as they usually did. Fortunately, our engineering teams had come up with a lot of interesting toys over the past few months, so I had no reason to doubt our team's ability to get the job done.
Resistance forces hit an Advent train in this area pretty hard, and the aliens still haven't managed to get it moving again. There should be plenty of valuable tech on board that thing, so we're moving to eliminate any hostiles in this area. Secure whatever cargo you can find. Menace 1-5. Coordinates of the Advent train are locked in. Move to secure. Eliminate all hostiles.
Remember, Commander, there are extremely volatile materials scattered throughout this area. We need to make sure our troops are clear of any possible explosions.
Hey, RetconRaider here, and welcome back to episode 36.
Moving to designated position.
Today we're... Oh, that was quick. Okay, today we're on a supply raid, fairly straightforward mission, and we've already got our first enemy pod in sight. We've been on one or two of these missions before. We basically just need to clear out all the enemies, while being careful not to accidentally destroy the valuable supply crates. And in this particular case, Because of the Shadow Chamber, we know that there's only going to be about 4 squads worth of enemies, starting with the Archon and the Spectre up here. Now, obviously we're not going to be attacking these guys this turn. As usual, there's no time limit, so there's no reason for us to rush. For the moment, we're just focusing on moving up into better attack positions. These guys are also clustered right around one of the supply crates, so we'll want to give them a moment to see if they move away from it. Alright, I think we're in pretty good positions now, so let's get everyone into Overwatch.
I'm on it. Moving to Overwatch scanning. Moving to Overwatch.
Well, unfortunately that pod isn't budging. They seem intent on guarding that crate, or maybe they're just trying to use it as cover. Either way, we're not going to be able to use our usual approach. Normally I'd start things off by lobbing a grenade in there and hitting the entire pod. But since we obviously don't want to risk accidentally destroying the supplies, we'll have to do something a little more subtle. Let's see if Atlas can take control of that Archon.
Your will is weak.
Oh, nice. That will definitely make things a lot easier.
They spotted us.
Though I wasn't expecting to be up against 2 Spectres, I guess I must have somehow missed that when we first spotted the pod. That could end up being a problem, but at least we managed to get them away from the crate. Okay, the closer Spectre has moved itself into a vulnerable position, so let's start by moving Blackbane over for a flanking shot. We should definitely be able to take out at least one of these Spectres before the end of the turn. I'm just worried about what the other Spectre might do afterwards. Blackbane just knocked most of that thing's health off in one shot, so let's bring someone else up and see if we can finish it off real quick. Let's go ahead and bring Potato up there. He's got the Shadow Keeper equipped, so if he can get this kill, then he'll immediately be put back under stealth. Nice. That takes care of one of the Spectres, and now Potato can act as our forward scout. Unfortunately, I don't think any of our other guys can actually move far enough to draw line of sight to the second Spectre. So for now, we'll just move them up and put them on Overwatch.
I feel light on my feet.
I'm on it. I'm on it.
So I can attack anything that passes by.
Looks like the Spectre decided to take a shot at our Archon. I can certainly live with that. A big part of the reason we took over the Archon in the first place was to draw enemy fire. And now that the Spectre has wasted its turn, let's see if we can move up a bit closer and take it out. I guess we should start by moving the Archon. That way we can check to see if there are any more pods nearby before we risk moving up any of our operatives. Not much of a hit, but let's bring Blackbane up to the foot of the train here, and he can take another flanking shot.
I'm going.
Not bad. It wasn't enough to actually finish off the Spectre, but we should be able to kill it with one more follow-up shot. Let's go ahead and move the whole squad up, and then we'll see who has the best chance to hit that thing.
Let's do this.
Actually, with the upgrades on Steel Badger's shotgun, he'll kill that thing even if he ends up missing, so we'll have him take the shot. And there we go. That just leaves 8 more enemies on the field. Let's get our guys into a little ambush formation here, just in case another pod shows up.
Stomp, stomp, stomp.
Finally. Eyes on the prize.
Sensors at maximum sensitivity.
Oh, and here comes a pod now. Looks like it's just a mech and a priest. Definitely nothing to worry about. We've already got the priest on the brink of death, so our main target here is going to be that mech. Since Steel Badger can do guaranteed damage with his shotgun, we'll move him up first and have him take out that priest.
Heading out.
There we go. Wait, no, that... Okay, well that triggered the priest's stasis. So it neutralizes the priest for the moment, but we're still going to have to worry about him next turn. Obviously, we want to see if we can trim off some of the mech's armor before we start hitting it with anyone else. Unfortunately, it looks like Blackbane is too far back to reasonably hit the mech.
I'm on it.
Oh, but Cazador's gun can also shred armor, so let's bring her up onto the train and she can soften up the mech. There we go.
We'll test the limits of that armor.
Now let's keep moving our guys up and hit that thing a couple more times.
Tired of waiting around. Hit the plate. Evidence located.
That takes care of the mech, but we do still have that priest on the field. The stasis field will automatically drop at the beginning of the next enemy turn, so
Orders confirmed.
we'll move the rest of the squad up and set them on overwatch. That way, if the priest tries to move, they'll immediately shoot him down. Of course, we don't want to move anyone up too far. The last thing we want to do is set off another enemy pod this late in the turn.
I'm on it. Moving to Overwatch.
Oh wow, okay. The priest is actually trying to mind control Atlas. That's a very bold move. And now he's dead. Well, I at least applaud the effort. No enemies in sight, but we do know there are at least 2 more pods on the field. Plus, we've only got 2 turns to pick up that loot before it expires. So, let's start pushing up a little more aggressively.
Menace 1-5. Watch those supply crates. If you destroy them, there won't be anything left for us to recover once the area is secure.
Well, we immediately lost a supply crate, but I don't think there was anything we could have done about that. But on the bright side, we did spot both of the remaining enemy pods. We've also got a gatekeeper and 2 more specters on the field, which is definitely bad news, so I think it's about time to bust out the blaster bomb. Now, Blackbane doesn't actually have line of sight to any of these guys, but as usual, with the blaster bomb, that really doesn't matter.
No use running.
That takes care of one of the specters. Now, let's see if we can trim off the rest of the gatekeeper's armor. I guess we really only have one other operative who can shred armor, so let's bring Cazador up and we can use her overdrive ability to fire off a couple of shots. We'll start by trimming off some armor there. Nice, and now let's follow up with the Shredstorm cannon. That kills the second Spectre and takes out most of the Gatekeeper's health. Oh, and apparently it destroyed a turret too. That's a nice bonus. We should be able to finish off the Gatekeeper with just one shot, but we want to avoid activating that last pod if we can. That takes care of the Gatekeeper. Now let's just get ready for that last pod.
Come get some! Moving. On the move. Affirmative, covering now. Overwatch. Affirmative, covering now.
Looks like they're headed right towards us, so this should trigger all of our Overwatch fire.
Armor still holding. Target still up. Went off the armor.
Not bad. Our ambush didn't actually kill anyone, but it did a pretty good job of softening them up. Of course, now we need to knock that enemy mech off of Overwatch. Let's push the Archon up. At this point in the fight, I don't really care if it lives or dies. Well, it's still fighting, so we might as well have it take a shot at the mech. Nice. Now, someone really should pick up that loot, but it's right out in the open. I'd rather not have to waste anyone's whole turn just to grab loot and then run for cover. But I could try moving Cazador up there. She can't use cover anyway. I'm not actually sure if mechs can pick up items, but I guess we're about to find out. Well, alright then. That's good to know for the future, though the loot is kind of disappointing.
I'm reloading.
And let's start knocking down the last pod.
Their inferior designs won't hold forever.
Let's have Potato finish off the mech with his lightning hands.
There you go. They see me.
And now he should be able to finish off the shield bearer with his rifle. And that just leaves us with the officer. He's got a decent amount of health and some halfway decent cover, so let's see if we can do this the easy way.
Accessing target.
Nice, but it could get nicer. And there we go.
I'm in. Status confirmed. All hostiles are down and the area is secure. Status confirmed. Mission accomplished.
That was definitely a nice, smooth mission. At this point, I'm actually giving some serious consideration to bumping up the difficulty again.
Advent officials announced an increase to this month's recruitment quotas. Citizens are encouraged to voluntarily visit their nearest recruitment center. Remember, only together can we build a better tomorrow.
Glad to see see our new recruits aren't hesitating when it comes to taking out the aliens.
Looks like we only pulled one promotion this time. So let's see what we can do with the Hunter-Killer. Intimidate or Wrecking Ball. Intimidate grants a passive chance to panic enemy units, and Wrecking Ball allows Cazador to destroy walls and cover while in overdrive. Between the two, I think Wrecking Ball is a little too, situational. So let's grab Intimidate. I think that fits Cazador's personality anyway. At this rate, she's going to end up with all the future combat options. Operation Rebel Rhyme had gone smoothly. In fact, I think it was one of our smoothest operations yet. The men had swooped down onto the crash site, efficiently wiping out the Advent security escort and recovering the bulk of the supplies in record time. I had been concerned about the large number of explosives scattered around the area, but apparently Atlas had just used his psychic powers to help coordinate the squad's actions. That helped them avoid any unintentional collateral damage. The operation had already gotten us a significant amount of new resources to play with, but there were still a lot of additional supplies down at the crash site. Since Advent didn't seem interested in sending in reinforcements to reclaim their train, I ordered the Grey Shirts to hold position so our salvaging teams could finish stripping the train clean. It was going to take them about a week to finish, but that was fine. It would give Tygan just enough time to complete his initial research into the Advent warp gate. Once we had that thing operational again, we would finally be able to figure out our next move.